Now, here's tonight's closing programme on Thames, which is another in the series, Peace.
Good evening. Tonight we continue our theme of peace by talking with the Reverend Manu Ramelshah, Vicar of St George's Anglican Church in Southall, about the hopes for peace in a multiracial, multi-faith community. This is how he describes his area of West London. Southall has in the past 2 decades become a place of great social significance in the life of our country. The main reason for this is the overwhelming presence of British Asians. The town is often referred to as Little India, both grudgingly and nostalgically, depending on which side of the fence you are. Southall is a place where affluence and deprivation go unashamedly together. The whole spirit and atmosphere is so comprehensively Asian in flavour that even the Ecology Party has given up on cleaning it of its curry smell. But perhaps most significantly, it's a place where all the great religions of the world live and meet together, a true microcosm in Britain of the global religious scenario. All the great religions of the world, as you say, Manu Ramelshah, but as we also saw, all of us saw at the time of Mrs. Gandhi's death, not always one where the religions are in harmony.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Since the events of Indira Gandhi's death, and before that, even the events of Punjab during earlier parts in the year, things have not as cordial and amiable as they used to be between the religious communities. And that epitomizes something which I utterly abhor in my whole experience of religions of the world, that right across the world and in different situations, religion at times grips us to make us hate each other. And that's an utterly unacceptable face of religion for me.
What are you saying, that religion divides as well as unites?
Well, in more cases than not, it has divided and created bloodshed, which I just cannot understand.
Now, of course, you're operating in quite a strange situation as an Anglican vicar in Southall, and you are the minority church. How does that, in fact, affect the way that you see yourself in relation to the larger community?
Well, thankfully, I've always known myself as a minority person, as a practicing Christian in my own native land and in Britain, both as a person of another race, and now I lead a team of people who find themselves in a minority situation. And it has its snags, but it has its challenges and opportunities as well.
You also have the tremendous personal belief in the oneness of God, whichever religion you happen to choose to find him by.
I hope we all have that belief in the oneness of God, and I believe that God is one and we are all his children. And these religions are different ways of reaching to him. And good luck to all of them.
Yes, and therefore we should all help our brothers along the way. I think you summed it up, or something that you often quote is, if a person does not love the brother whom he has seen, it cannot be that he loves the God that he has not seen.
Yes, I sum it up in the words of the Christian scriptures, and it mainly says that we cannot be people in God and under God if we hate a person for any reason, be that on racial, religious, or class reasons. And it's utterly inconceivable that you can say, I really am good with God, and then go out and kill someone or hate someone or spit at someone else.
I can understand this rather nasty word, exactly what you mean by it, multi-faith worship. But what is it in practice? What does it mean for you in your church in Southall?
In what we do in Southall is that in my church premises we allow other religions to use it for religious purposes. It's something which is unthinkable for most people. I personally feel that if there are people in need who want to do certain religious things, then those of us who have that privilege should be big enough to allow them to come in. And in practice it means that we are friends together, we share meals together, share social fellowship together, and occasionally if we come together and sit at the feet of God together, I don't think there is anything better than that.
I gather you've had Sikhs, you've had Muslims, perhaps other religions as well, actually using the church rooms. How do your parishioners take to that?
They were skeptical to begin with, but then we had a process of education and learning together, a sense of appreciation, and now it's amazing the transformation which they have experienced, and we rejoice in our liberation that we are no more bigots, but are open servants of God.
What about the Church of England, though? Because one often thinks of that as a rather conservative body. Have your superiors been appreciative of really what is a personal crusade on your part?
Well,
isn't it?
my superiors have been very gracious and understanding about the whole situation. I think they are sensitive to the fact that it's a new situation and it needs radical and new solutions. And they have quietly sustained me in what I am doing.
Is that true? Do you think you get enough help from the rest of the world, or do you think people tend to ignore initiatives?
Well, this is something which is not very appealing to people. We all want to hold our territories, we all want to hold our little niches, we all want to live in our own little patches of life, whether it's on racial grounds or religious grounds. And when one preaches that there should be a big mix-up, it's very threatening to people, a sense of loss of territory they feel. And I believe that those of us who believe in this, we have to walk this road, however slippery it may be.
So what are your hopes for 1985, a new year in Southall?
I very much hope that not only in Southall, but all across the world, people, in spite of their religious, social, and racial divisions, they come together because they're all the children of God.
Well, what about you, though, talking personally, because you've really taken on the cares of at least of a parish upon your shoulders. Where do you find your own peace? Because you really battle quite a lot, don't
Well,
you?
I think my firm peace comes from my being one with God, because He's my sustaining factor, no one else.
And that will keep you going.
That keeps me really happily going.
Manu Ramal Shah, thank you very much
Pleasure.
for coming in to talk to us tonight. Absolutely
Pleasure.
fascinating. Good night to all of you at home. Sleep very well. Thank you very much.
Now, the weather forecast. Tonight, cold and foggy. Tomorrow, the fog clearing slowly, becoming brighter, but still watch out for icy roads. The high 4 centigrade, 39 Fahrenheit. That's the weather forecast. It's also the end of today's programmes on Thames, so we're about to close down. But ITV's back on the air at 6:25 tomorrow morning with TVAM's Good Morning Britain. And in the programme are Brian Blessed, James Fox, and no less a person than Roland Ratt looks back at 1984 and says what the years meant to him, as it says down here. So there you are. That's in TVM tomorrow morning. Now, the music we're playing tonight is from an album by Richard Clayderman. So here's tonight's track. Good night. Don't forget to switch off your set, will you? Once again, good night.